Torrential rain and catastrophic floods are wreaking havoc. Let's start with Bangladesh, where 69 people lost their lives. Relief operations and evacuations are now underway. Currently, 9.5 million people are stranded without any basic commodities. Authorities have ramped up efforts to deliver food and drinking water to the region, but constant rain is now hampering the process. At least 17 of the 64 districts are reeling from the natural disaster. The floods in Sylhet are the most severe in more than a century. This week's rains came as the region was still recovering from the floods in May. 90% of the health facilities have been inundated. Apart from food shortages and unhygienic situations, the stagnant floodwater is also attracting diseases. The UN is now seeking $2.5 million urgently for relief assistance, and officials say that the flooding is going to get worse in the coming days.
The water was up to this level. There is no chance for people to survive. We haven't seen this much water before. We thought to raise our belongings above water little by little. As the water level increased, we thought that the water will not remain that high and it would lower down. At the end, we had no chance to move our belongings.
The floods were triggered by monsoon rains. Bangladesh is mostly flat and low-lying, so the country is no stranger to short-term flooding. In fact, they proved to be good for the agricultural sector, but due to climate change, the rate of rainfall has increased more than anticipated. And now a leading climate change expert has confirmed the same. He explains that as the planet warms up, hot air carries more water vapor in the atmosphere, more than it can hold. So this comes down as monsoon rainfall, which leads to severe flooding.
So strong rainfall events are bad. Floods are associated with these, and that they destroy a lot, not just agriculture, but also infrastructure. And but also droughts are bad because you can store only so much water in the storages or in the soil. But it's not just agriculture. It's really all the infrastructure is the water that is supply for the population, a very intensely, densely populated area in all of Asia, in India, Bangladesh, Pakistan, and China, but also Indonesia. They all suffer if there's no rain. They suffer when there's too much rain, and what they would need and is a steady rainfall as we had it in the past and as it is threatened now under global warming.
This is a worrying trend because almost 26% of the nation's 160 million people live in coastal regions who have now fallen vulnerable to climate change. In neighboring states, in India, the situation is even more serious. At least 126 have died so far. Flooding has cut off 3 districts in Assam's Barak Valley. The waist-deep water has stranded thousands of residents. The Indian Army and paramilitary troops have been called in to help. About 1,000 people have been evacuated in the last 72 hours. Two northeast states have received 134% more rainfall than the average. In Assam, about 4.7 million people have been forced out of their homes and more than 300,000 are staying in shelters. Torrential rains lashed 25 of the state's 33 districts for a 6th day. The region above the Bay of Bengal is considered as one of the world's most climate vulnerable areas. In Bangladesh alone, 3.5 million people are at the risk of river flooding each year. And the rains will only become more erratic. It will take months to understand exactly how much of a role climate change has played in this phenomenon. WION World is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news updates on the move.